Hi, and welcome to Polly Puts the Colour On. Thank you for joining me, and welcome back if you are a returning viewer. Please don't forget to click subscribe if you haven't already. So in today's video, I thought I'd do a little review of these products that I picked up recently from The Works, which is a high street chain shop here in the UK. They sell all sorts of different craft kits and things, mainly for children, reading books, you name it. They do have quite a big art selection as well. So if you haven't, if you're not familiar with that, especially maybe if you're not from the UK, if you take a look at my What's New Wednesday video, I've got some little clips there that I did inside. They do have paints and all sorts. I thought it'd be interesting to see what I could get for £20 or less. So I see it came in spot on £20. So I got this set of 24 alcohol-based markers. And it says that they are a broad tip and a fine tip, and they are in quite a nice little carry case. And as you can see on the top, get an idea of what colours there is inside before you open them. And it looks like they've got nice little dividers to keep them nice in the box. So once I've taken a couple out, it looks like they shouldn't collapse on each other. So I'll swatch those in a second. And then I got these metallic markers, 6 of them. It says that they've got a bullet tip of 2mm. Doesn't say too much else other than they're produced for The Works, so I'm guessing you wouldn't be able to find them in any other shops. Looks like a nice little range of colours. Don't know whether they'll go through the paper on single-sided ones, so that's something that I'll try out. So I thought I'll swatch them both in my swatch book, and then maybe have a little play in single-sided book. Because of these being alcohol markers, obviously I'm not going to really use those in double-sided books. But let's just move the metallic ones out of the way and get this box open. So it has got a nice little clasp on there and a little carry handle as well. So these might be quite useful if you were travelling. And there is a little, I'm going to move that to one side, ready for recycling. There is a little thing on the top. I think that would be a bit of a, yeah, that's not easy to get on and off. I don't think I really need that, so let's move that out of the way. So we can see there, nice little range of colours. Not too many of each, so it is a small set. At least you've got a bit of everything, and there is a colourless blender as well, so that's quite useful. So I have pre-filled out in my little swatch book. See at the front, it's just got my cheap set from TikTok shop. So I thought I'll try and keep, all my different pen sets in here. My Ho Hoo Hoo ones, they came with their own swatch chart. So let's try and do these. So first up here is the black. So the camera there, let's steady you up. So there is the fine tip and the broad tip. So let's have a open first off. So yeah, nice standard chisel tip that end. And then the fine tip looks pretty good. So I've got something behind, obviously, so it doesn't ruin the other one, but a little bit squeaky sounding, but not completely terrible. Obviously not going to bother swatching the colourless blender, so obviously there's not much point to that one. So this one is a green. Well, not that there's no point to it, but obviously there's no point in swatching it. Obviously colourless blenders do have their uses, don't they? I do quite like that it has got the little divide compartments in this, so if you take a few colours out, if you're working on a project, they're not just all going to fall over. So there's a nice warm grey. Then we've got natural oak, kind of standard feel, when you're holding them. There's not that much to say about them, really. I mean, seem like pretty standard chip markers. They're not too scratchy on the paper. They feel quite nice. They really seem what the range of. Ooh, it's a very bold colour, isn't it? And we've got ultraviolet next. It's relatively similar. I was expecting that to be a bit different, to be honest, because there's not a massive, it's a small set. They are different, but they're not like massive. It's not like a dark purple and a light purple there, is there? So let's see. So that one was Prussian blue, and this one is brilliant blue, which is quite nice blue. Again, they're quite similar. So let's see what these lighter blue shades work out as. Quite pretty. And then pastel blue. Let's see how pastel it is. Not super pastel, but does give quite a nice range of blues there. And then we've got another kind of blue. Well, we'll see how blue it is. It's a cerulean blue. Just obviously more of a bluey green. That's a pretty colour. I'll get it back in the holder. Here we are then, turquoise green. Maybe try the chisel tip on the next one so that we can see how that lays down. So forest green. Let's try the chisel tip this side. Yep, feels like standard chisel tip, same as on my hoo-hoos, to be honest. And then we've got a grass green. So that's all the greens. So they're not a super light green, but you know, it is a small set. I mean, that says pastel yellow, and that looks very, very bright, doesn't it? Like that looks, if I was giving that a name, I think I'd call that neon yellow. That doesn't look pastel, does it? Then we've got lemon yellow, which is pretty. And then orange, which is what it says on the tin. It is an orange. Pastel pink, which I'm guessing if the pastel blue and the pastel yellow are anything to go with, it's going to be, yes, I'd say that's neon pink rather than pastel, but there we are. Pastel violet, it says next. That's a pretty colour. Again, wouldn't describe it as pastel, but it is nice. Then old red. I'm nearly done. We've got carmine next. Oh, that's interesting. All the printing on all the other pens has been fine, but on these ones, it's got the word fine, but the image isn't there. And then it's, well, I can tell it's going to say broad, but then all that bit's missing. Oh, how strange. So obviously the writing does wear off. Obviously that one mustn't have been printed very well in the factory, I guess. And then we'll finish off with the geranium. Obviously it says there's 24 markers. Obviously I haven't swatched the colours then, so we've got the 23 colours there. Obviously they've gone through, as you know, they're alcohol markers they go into. There is some pretty colours there, nice and bold colours. The pastel colours aren't pastel, but for a small set, I think that's quite a nice selection, isn't it? You've got a bit of everything, a bit of every colour that you might need. So let's have a look then at these metallic ones. So I have been keeping these in the packaging. I think eventually these will come out and they'll just live on my desk, probably in a pen pot or something. Well, let's empty them out of the box and see what we've got. So I've put that paper behind just in case, because I don't know how it's going to go through. So this looks like this is going to be gold or bronze. I'm guessing more gold. Yeah, it's really nice and shiny, isn't it? So I've not bothered writing the names down because there's only a few colours. I'll be able to tell which ones which. I've just written down that they are the works metallic markers so that I can refer back to this if I need to in the future. But they are lovely and shiny. Not glittery, but they are definitely metallic. A nice shine to them. Let's see. Oh, do you know what? This is pretty thin paper. I don't does it say on the back? I don't think. No idea what the GSM of this paper is, but I mean you can just about see it through. Like, there's a tiny bit of ghosted, but it's not as if it's blurred through. So I think these would be fine in single-sided. Let me just bring it up a little bit more to the camera so you can see those colours a bit better. They're not really nice and pretty actually. Not super shiny now as they're drying. I mean the gold and the silver is a little bit more, but they are still pretty. And for £3 I don't think they're terrible. So in terms of comparing how these pens work to something a bit more expensive like their hoo-hoo markers, I mean, to be honest, how I held them in my hand felt the same. Slightly scratchier on the paper, but you know, they are a fraction of the price of Ohuhu's, and I don't think they're bad for a budget brand. So I thought might be nice is because obviously a lot of people use alcohol markers in cute and cozy books. Thought it might be nice for you to see me actually using these pens on a page. I won't finish the whole page, but I thought it might be nice just so that you can get an idea of how they work in a book that you might have at home. So I thought I'd start a little page in Fantasyland because I've not coloured anything in this one yet. So what I was thinking is that I'll do the This Book Belongs To page. So I'll just get the paper out of the way. So I don't need that now, but I will keep the swatch chart here. And let's see, so I'll use some of these metallic pens and some of the alcohol markers. So for the dragon, I think that cerulean blue might be quite cool for the dragon. So let's use that. Not going to attempt much shading on here, partly because there is a limited choice of colours, but also I'm not very confident at shading with alcohol markers anyway. So let's see, they go down quite nicely on the paper. Obviously spreading as alcohol markers do, but not like a ridiculous amount because they're not overly juicy, but they are nice and juicy. I don't want you thinking that I'm saying that they've dried out at all. They're certainly getting a lovely coverage on the paper. So I will do the rest of his body in that colour, but let's try and choose a colour for inside of his ears. And looks like he's got a little bit of a beard or something there, doesn't he? So what might go nicely? Might go for a yellow. I mean, it might look a bit garish with it, but I might go for the yellow, the lemon yellow, I think, rather than the pastel yellow. Give a bit of a pop of colour, I think. So let's do that there. And you know what? I'll do the beard the same, but his little horns, I might use the metallic pens on those. So let's have a look at those colours. Thinking I might use the gold on the frame. So I might make his horns, yeah, I'll just go silver, I think, just so that it doesn't clash too much. So they go on kind of nice, although they definitely feel different on this paper than on that thinner paper. I think you need to work quickly. I think that's where I went wrong on that first one. You need to make sure that you're not holding it too long. But you can see that side, the alcohol marker's obviously gone through. You can't even really see the metallic pen. So I think, considering how thin, because obviously this is just Amazon print paper, isn't it? Considering how thin this paper is, I think if you were using these in, you know, a better quality double-sided book, sorry, I think these would work quite nicely. So let's see about carrying on a little bit with the dragon. So yeah, quite pleased with these pens. I think they'll make a nice little addition. It is nice that they're in the little carry case. So if you were, you know, going on holiday, or you were travelling out and about, or say you normally colour, you know, at your desk or in a certain place in your house, and then you wanted to go and colour in the garden or on the sofa, it might be useful having them in a little case. And also sometimes it is useful, isn't it, to just have a small range of colours so that it's not overwhelming with your colour choice. There's obviously not going to be a huge range of colours because, you know, it is a 24, well, it's 24 set, but one of them is obviously the colourless blender. So really, I guess you could think of it as being like a 23 set almost, couldn't you, with that colourless blender obviously not actually being a colour. But they're quite nice. Struggling a bit here going back on myself, but that's my fault for the angle I'm colouring. So I'll do all this bit in this same colour, and then let's try and get a few different colours in. So to use those yellows now, I think I want to use something different on the rest. Let's maybe go for this carmine. Let's try that one. Yeah, this was the one that got the worn off text on it. Let's try this down the back. So this one feels quite nice on the paper too. I've gone over the you probably can't see it very much on the camera, to be honest. I've gone over just the tiniest little bit there, so I might just try this colourless blender. Let's see if I can lighten up this little bit where I've gone over the line. And yeah, that's worked fine. Let's just clean the tip off. Yeah, that's done the job there. Thinking just for the sake of using different colours, it might end up looking a bit random, but I might use a slightly different red on this bit compared to his back, so I might try the geranium red. Didn't want to do like a full page on camera because I know actually it takes longer than what you think, and with having the limited colours I thought I'd have to choose carefully the page I thought for this book belongs to. This will at least mean I've started this. And then maybe try that pastel yellow. That isn't really a pastel yellow. What do I bring? No, let's bring in one of the blues. I might bring in the really dark blue so that we can see if that comes out just as dark on this paper. So it might not be the most colour coordinated page, but at least it gives you a chance to see how they're going to work on this paper. So quite nicely, I think, is the answer there. No, certainly no complaints from me. I had kept the receipt, although I figured I wouldn't return them to the shop if I wasn't happy with them. It might just be a case of me giving them to my daughter, perhaps, if I wasn't too pleased with them. But I think these would be quite nice, and it'd be nice to have a little set on my desk as well. So for the background, I'd say I'd use a light colour, but I haven't really got many light colours, so let's just go for a grey. I'll go for the warm grey just for this background, and I might try a bit of the chisel tip side because I do use that quite a bit in my hoo-hoos. So let's see how, yeah, that's turning out alright. It does obviously, so I've gone over a little bit there, so it has put the stripe in, but I think that's more user error than any fault of the actual pens. Just need to be careful not to let either side dry out here. Hopefully as it dries the lines won't be quite as obvious. Hoping this won't look too red once it's all done, but at least I say it'll be a completed page, won't it, and a chance you to see how these perform. Maybe you've been looking at them yourself when you've been at the works and wondering. At least it make quite a nice little gift for somebody as well if they were looking at starting adult colouring. you know, you could pick them up, a little single-sided book, and then a set of these pens. It'll be a chance for them to see whether they like working with them. So I'm going to use that really, really bright yellow, that pastel yellow, for inside the lanterns. I'm not going to worry about doing any fancy glow effects or anything on them. So now it's flowing out quite nicely. Might use the black to see how the black comes out just around the edge of the frame. I can still feel under my hand it is a bit wet, but obviously that's standard with alcohol markers, isn't it? It does take a little bit longer than what you might think for them to dry. At least fully dry, that is. Right. So don't want to accidentally smudge the horns. I'm assuming that that is probably dry by now, but just make sure I don't accidentally smudge it if it isn't. I know what I'm like sometimes. Like if I put gel pen on a page, I'll carry on working and completely forget that I've got the gel pen there and smudge it across the page and then have to fix the page off. I've done that quite a few times. Does anybody else do that? Think, oh yeah, I'll remember to be careful. I'll remember that I've put that there, and then you forget, don't you? It ends up everywhere. When I'm organised, I do try and make sure that like the gel pen's the last thing I do, and then do it, and then walk away, and then come back and finish off. But I'm not always that organised. Right, let's do the gold. Okay, so that is covering up the detail on there, which is fine. Yeah, they feel a bit funny on the, not scratchy, but you can kind of tell it's, I don't know whether sticking to the paper is the right way of describing how it feels. Certainly seem to go nicer on my little scratch board, but they're, you know, they're fine to use. I'm certainly going to use them up. I don't know whether I'd buy them again, admittedly, but see how I feel once I've used them a bit more. Right, I just need to turn the book though. It might look a little bit awkward for you, but let me just turn the book a little bit just so that I can do this top bit a little bit easier. And I don't know whether these gaps on the frame are meant to be just gaps on the frame or whether they're meant to have like, meant to be gems or something. I'm thinking I might colour them as like a little gem because it would look pretty, and I could try some of the other colours on the paper as well. So there we are. We're done with this framer now. I think, you know, these make quite a nice little addition to your collection if you're after something. I mean, you couldn't do anything too fiddly with them, but for kind of bigger, chunkier areas, or if you just do like little dabs of colour, these would work quite well. It's not a super smooth finish, although it might be. Maybe if I try going over these horns again, let's see what that does. Try not to take too long. I think I've paused too much. Yeah, it's looking better. And the trick is just to keep going with them and try not to take too long. I'd say I'd use gold again on them, but it might be a bit boring. Anyway, the dragon's green, so let's go for green on these as well, actually, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to try and be careful not to cover up. Turn it again. So I'm going to get my hand in the picture frame I've just done on to see if I can keep this detail and see how easy that is. I think not super easy is the answer there, but it's not too bad. And just do this on to match. It's going to look a bit busy, this page, anyway, with all these different colours. So at least let's have the lamps matching, I guess. And then pop a colour and add pink here. And the blue. Do that top and bottom, and use the purple. So use the purple, so then we'll have a little bit of each colour on there. And then I can double check the back just in case any colour has gone through. But no, none of those metallic markers have gone through. All the only bit that spread through is the alcohol markers, which obviously we knew was going to. So actually, yeah, really pleased with those. I'm obviously not going to bother putting all the pens back in there right now. But yeah, I would definitely recommend those. They would make a nice little gift for somebody. You know, you could pick them up, one of their little cute and cozy books, get them this little set of pens, make a nice little present. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. So yeah, obviously if you can afford a hoo-hoos or something, you know, a bit more premium, obviously they're going to give you much wider range of colours, but definitely nothing wrong with those. Always love a bargain, and it's always nice to have some extra colours, isn't it? So yeah, there we have it. That's the products that I picked up from the works that I would recommend if you'd been wondering about trying them out yourselves. So thank you very much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider clicking subscribe, liking this video and hitting that notification bell so that you don't miss out on future videos. So take care everyone, catch you in the next one.